Hello, folks. Welcome to this edition of Al's Joint. I've had the pleasure this week of visiting Cleveland, Ohio, and having deep discussions with the Baker sisters. And after 8 decades, they have a story to tell. So we're here today with the Baker sisters in Cleveland, Ohio.
Cecilia England. I am 83 years old, a native Clevelander. The lady to my left is my big sister. We're about
really?
a year and 3.5 months apart.
Anita Louise Baker Alexander. Born and raised in Cleveland and been married 32 years. Oh, my age. 84. And still got a little sense, got a little brain. It's working, you know. Sometimes it gets fried, but, you know.
No, it doesn't.
I can,
She remembers everything.
well, if I don't remember it, my sister will.
I think that we've made a lot of progress in the last 70 years because at one point, blacks and whites could not even marry.
That's true.
And unless you have the libraries where the books are, the schools to use those books for the young generations to know everything about this country, not just a small portion, we're lost. And I don't know where this will end, but I just
I
feel
probably
that
will be here around to see it.
too many people have sacrificed for us to give up. Because for us to get this far, whites and people of color have made it possible for blacks to go to colleges that whites go to. They couldn't do this years, prior. That's why you have black colleges.
And they're trying to close those down, you know.
It's a little sad to me that some of the younger people don't realize that if they knew everything that people before them had gone
And that's the
through
path.
and done
The
to
struggle that
Yes.
everybody
the
went
path,
through.
exactly,
They just take it
that
for
they
granted.
would possibly be a little more active in organizations like the NAACP, where we learned a lot. Because at the time, just like I'm sure people today don't know, because we didn't understand truth about what was going on in the South, being up north, because we were young.
Let's get into your involvement with the junior NAACP.
Okay. It was really an honor, you know, and I felt at the time I had all this energy and I had ideas. I guess I was really what I'd call curious. I always felt that there was a better life somewhere. And growing up, my parents worked hard. We ate and
Fed the neighborhood.
fed the whole kids and everything. And I started traveling on the weekends. We go like little towns. We meet other black people from Akron, Toledo. We had a little group of people that had the same thoughts, that we were on the same page.
Well, our church also was a part of this.
So the
with a lot
church
of
helped support that.
right, and now our
They-
churches are just almost empty. It's very hard to even find young people in churches.
You both served in the junior NAACP.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
You were the president.
yeah,
In
president.
the first junior chapter in
In
Cleveland,
Cleveland,
Ohio.
Ohio. Yeah.
And I'm also a member of the NAACP now.
And you hosted the Arkansas 9, the children
Yeah,
who were going
9
down there
kids
to help
on the rock.
desegregate
Right.
the
Yes.
school system in Arkansas. You have a picture of that? Because
Yeah.
as a president of the NAACP junior chapter, you actually hosted those folks at your house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Most-
And this is some of them at our
Yeah.
house.
In 1958, they had an NAACP convention here in Cleveland, Ohio. And they came up from Little Rock. They came for the national NAACP convention. And they came up, and so Mother hosted the party and the 9 kids in Little Rock were the star because they came up from the South.
How old were you then?
I think I was 17.
17.
Yeah, the guys, they had never been up north and saw the women in Cleveland. And a couple of these girls over here, they had never seen some sharp-looking brothers from down south. So by me hosting the party, I had all my friends. I had a big party at the house. Mother made dinner. And then the first time ever that we saw a limousine, now you said in your neighborhood, and all the neighbors are out because, the 9 kids of Little Rock. and they got a chauffeur coming up, a limo. They've got their chaperone, Daisy Bates. She was their chaperone, and she came up. They were so impressed with the way we live. And just go places. They said, you don't have to, we didn't ride the back of the bus. They were just in awe seeing how up north was. And I think a lot of them did go north. I know that Ernie went to University of Chicago. I think they all went.
Came to North to go to college.
I think they all. I'm not
I
sure.
don't know.
8 decades.
But,
What do you see now politically has changed? How has that disgusted you?
It's been almost 70 years since the Little Rock 9 integrated Central High School. And it just appears to me that with our politicians at this time permitting what is going on in Washington,
yeah, what's going on?
that they're trying to take us back 70 years at least.
Put you in your place. It's almost like I think that the people that fought so hard, half of them are gone, deceased.
And their
And they're not-
history is being deleted, the
Deleted.
struggles of all of
Yeah.
their work.
Mm-hmm.
And we can take this all the way back, but
Now
So
it's 2025.
prior to the 50s,
yeah.
everyone that has lost their lives,
We lost people in Vietnam.
Mhm.
They fight
Mhm.
for your country and come back, you don't get anything.
It's-
I just don't understand the election. I mean, why do we have a felon president? And if you're a felon, you can't vote. Because they didn't want a black woman, that's why.
it's really sad because fear is in the picture. Fear of too much color in our country. Fear that we're going to take over. Right now, in Washington, this government is permitting, they call them Afrikaners, to enter the country, white South
Yeah,
Africans, while people of color have been waiting
Mhm.
years to enter
Yeah,
legally.
yeah.
And these people are just walking in. That is fear, not black people's fear. And I'm not speaking of all white people.
It's not like all white people are bad and all black people aren't bad. The one, what's her name? Carlotta. She was so impressed that we could just walk out our door and walk down the streets. And she came up to that convention and she went like, wow, we could go to the store. We had grocery stores that were in our neighborhood that were, neighborhood stores of white. And they didn't understand. I remember them saying they don't have special lines or you go in the back door.
Oh, like separate
Yeah,
places.
it's like
what she
go
said.
to a movie theater. Okay.
Drink out of this water fountain.
Yeah, right.
My
And
husband went through that in
And
the
then-
South.
They said, "Are you close to movies?" We used to go to the theater. They said, "You don't sit on the top." I said, "No, we sit right." They weren't used to that. They weren't used to going to a theater. The black people sat upstairs. I mean, it's like just going to a movie theater, and things that we took for granted.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot being a part of the NAACP.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because children in the North did not really realize what the children in the South.
And mother would never let us go south after Emmett Till.
After Emmett Till,
Yeah. And
that
then,
really opened up.
and mother
for
wouldn't even
us.
let me go to New Orleans.
And we couldn't go with our grandmother to New Orleans because of that.
You and Emmett Till were the same age.
Same age, same age.
So
I mean,
you actually heard about a child your age
yes,
being brutally
And what-
murdered.
murder. Because I remember my grandmother said, "Well, we're gonna take Pat to New Orleans because she take one child, a vacation or something."
Mhm.
And so I was all set to go to New Orleans. I'm about what? I'm about the same age.
She used to take us different places.
And so I go like, dang, and that hit the news, and that was over. When I got to New Orleans, I was an adult. And I got there, and I got to the airport. I remember white folks that were like, "Go get your bags or something," and they would like walk past you, and that was in the '60s. Well, I first moved to Kentucky. I'm driving to Kentucky. I'm now an adult. I'm hungry, so I'm seeing this white thing like a White Castle. And Bernie was in the car. Me and Bernie and my ex were in the car.
Who was Bernie?
My brother. He was just out of high school, and he was sharp, and he was traveling with me. And we go down there. I said, "I'm so hungry," and so we stopped at this white. Wasn't White Castle. Was all white. And Bernie chucked us out. You probably ain't gonna be able to eat in there. Do you know I walked in that restaurant? Now, I'm dressed to the nine now. Okay, and we go in there, and I go to sit down at the counter. A white bum was sitting there. I didn't want to sit. It was so scrappy. And I went to sit and they said, Oh, you can't sit. In Danville, Kentucky.
So even after all those years,
all the
you
years.
still couldn't sit.
So when they came to me, I pitched a fit. I mean, I could have been in jail because I went ballistic. Because I said,
That's why Mother would not let us go south.
Because I went down there and I'm going like, this man here is dirty, a bum. They had to take me out of there. After I found the racism here, I got really involved in watching stuff. Even when I went to college, I mean, white girls would ask me like, where's your tail?
Well, they found it okay to ask a black woman, where's your tail?
But, so we get to the dorm and it's like 10,000 kids at Kent State in 59. And only 10,000 white and 50 black. We got in this brand new dorm, Prentice Hall. And we were in this dorm, and every time we went to the bathroom, this one girl kept chase behind us. And so she says, well, where's your tail? I said, oh, I just tucked it in. And I didn't know she was from Parma. She actually thought black folks had a tail in 59.
And she had probably heard
her parents. Her parents had told her.
And brought it all the way to college.
Yeah, in our era, you know, the Jewish people really were more together with black people. You know, the Glenville we lived in, that was all Jewish area.
Before we moved to the big house,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mother was looking for a place, and she asked if they rented to, coloreds at that time. It wasn't
We
black.
got everything, color brown.
James Brown made it black, thanks to James Brown. But
Oh,
they asked Mother why was she concerned, because they thought from her voice that she was white over the phone.
Over the phone.
Same thing happened when they drafted our father
Into the Army?
Yes. Mother called to find out, she heard they were drafting. And they told her, well, why are you concerned again? Because we're only drafting colored men. Again, they thought over the phone from her voice that she was not black. Times have changed a lot since then due to the fact that people have marched, people have voiced their opinion, and because of these people, a lot of them are not even here now. Because of this, it has made it possible for blacks and other people of color to advance as much as they have.
I want to thank the Baker sisters for taking the time to join us on Al's Joint. Ladies, I appreciate your presence.
Oh, and we definitely have enjoyed Mr. Al.
Thank you so much for having us today.
It's been a pleasure.
I want to thank you folks for joining in this episode. Don't forget to hit like and to share, and please subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. Join us next Friday for our next episode, and be sure to stay in the fight.
This segment of Al's Joint is brought to you by Pave the Way Parking.